The phone rang at 3 a.m. On the other end, a cold voice. "Mr. Cooper, your business is officially bankrupt." Ben hung up, sat at the edge of the bed, and just sat there, saying nothing, feeling nothing, just staring into the dark. 3 years. 3 years building something with his bare hands. And now, it was all gone. It wasn't a scam. It wasn't the economy. It was him. He destroyed his own business penny by penny. It started with a credit card, a lunch paid for with company money. Just this once. Then came the internet bill, the gas, the rent, small decisions, tiny leaks, until the whole ship sank. What no one saw was that in the middle of that night, Ben Cooper didn't just lose a company. He lost his identity. But what looked like the end was really just the beginning. Because that same night, with a zeroed out account and a broken mindset, he learned something no college ever teaches, that strong companies start with strong owners. And that discipline is worth more than any revenue. This is the true story of an ordinary man who almost lost everything until he realized that mixing what's yours with what belongs to your business is the fastest way to lose both. If you've ever run a business or dream of starting one, you need to hear this all the way through, because today it might just be a card you swiped. Tomorrow, it could be the end of everything you're trying to build. Ben never planned to mess up. It wasn't greed, it wasn't irresponsibility. It was necessity, or at least that's what he kept telling himself. Monday, the website went down. Tuesday, his daughter got sick. Wednesday, the company van needed urgent repairs. His personal account balance, $12.48. The business account, a little more breathing room. It was just a transfer, just a quick fix. I'll pay it back later. That was the beginning. Ben was still the same guy-driven, focused, full of energy, still waking up early, taking meetings, managing the cash flow, delivering results. But inside, something was shifting. Slowly, the company's money started blending into his personal life. Groceries, a full gas tank, Saturday night dinner, little things. All justified, all temporary. But temporary started to stick around, and the business began to shrink. From the outside, no one could tell. Ben kept smiling on social media, posting about deliveries, showing off behind-the-scenes moments. But deep down, he knew. He was losing control without even noticing. There was no longer a line between what belonged to him and what belonged to the company. And worse, he wasn't even sure that line needed to exist. That's where most entrepreneurs fall. Not because they don't work hard, but because they don't realize that boundaries aren't a cage, they're protection. If you're using your business money as a shortcut to ease your personal life, you're draining the fuel your business needs to grow. And that's how Ben started losing something more valuable than money: clarity. On paper, Ben's business still existed. The EIN was still active. Emails were going out. Invoices were being sent. Social media was up to date. To anyone looking from the outside, the business seemed to be running. But on the inside, Ben felt like he didn't own anything anymore. Not the business, not even himself. The energy just wasn't there anymore. Not the motivation, not the clarity, not the sense of direction. Every day became a chain of emergencies. Fixing a missed delivery, responding to an angry client, covering a hole in the cash flow. Everything felt urgent, everything seemed important, yet nothing was strategic. And time, that silent enemy, started to take its toll. Ben wasn't eating lunch. He stayed up late, got up early, barely saw his kids. And when he did see them, he wasn't really present. His body was there, his mind wasn't. He still had dreams. But now the dreams were mixed with worry. How much longer can I take this? Did I take the wrong path? Am I the problem? He started beating himself up like a boss and blaming himself like an employee. He looked at the spreadsheets and saw a business running on empty. No clear profit margin, no set salary, no predictability. There was just one business account, and from that account came everything. Overhead, kids' snacks, his personal credit card bill. There was no separation between life and business, just one big knot. Ben tried cutting expenses. He ran sales, let go of his only employee, tried to sell more, produce more, push harder. But the harder he pushed the business forward, the more he felt like he was pushing himself backwards. Slowly, he began drifting from everything that used to drive him. He stopped creating, stopped learning, stopped believing. His social media still had motivational quotes, but in the mirror, he only saw exhaustion. In his eyes, only pressure. And in his bank account, constant ups and downs that never gave him a break. His wife started asking, "So, is this really going to work?" Friends who used to be around, gone. And Ben started isolating himself. This is where many entrepreneurs give up, not because the business fails, but because they break before the business ever does. The truth is, no one teaches you how to keep a business alive when it depends entirely on you, emotionally, physically, and financially. The truth is, without structure, effort turns into burnout. And Ben at that point was at his limit. But the most dangerous part wasn't hitting bottom. It was feeling like that chaos had become the new normal. Like constantly putting out fires was just the price of being an entrepreneur. And maybe that's the most silent warning of all, when chaos feels routine. You've already gone past the point of no return. Ben hadn't officially gone bankrupt yet, but collapse was no longer a possibility. It was just a matter of time. Ben didn't just wake up one day and realize he was broke. Bankruptcy didn't come with sirens or a formal warning. It crept in quietly, like water slowly filling a dark room. Deep down, he knew, but he did what most people do, kept moving, so he wouldn't have to face the truth. Until one day the business card got declined, and not by a small margin. It was maxed out. He tried a transfer, the system rejected it. Opened the banking app, balance negative, both personal and business accounts. Ben stared at the screen. No one else was around, but for the first time he felt shame. Shame for not listening to the signs. Shame for ignoring how he felt. Shame for playing the role of business owner without preparing to actually be one. That same week, the rent for the office space was due, and the cash in the account didn't even cover half. He called his mom, asked to borrow money, his voice shaking. She helped but didn't ask any questions. Maybe she already knew. Then came the internet bill. The provider cut off the service. No Wi-Fi, no customer service, no sales. One by one, the pillars of the business began to fall. Not because there weren't products, not because there weren't clients, but because there was no structure. The structure that should have been set up from day one. Clear separation, a plan, treating the business as its own entity. Ben spent 2 days locked inside, built spreadsheets, sketched out strategies, tried to find a way out. But everything he looked at was too interconnected. Pulling from one side affected the other. Paying one bill meant leaving another unpaid. It was a short blanket, no matter which way he pulled. On the third day, he opened his laptop to file for bankruptcy, but he just sat there on the homepage, not clicking anything. It was in that silence that he finally understood. He didn't need to file for the end of the business. What he needed was to admit that the business had never really existed. It was just a reflection of him. His wins, his fears, his rush, his hope. It was never separate from him. And that's why it never stood on its own. That was the real collapse. Not the financial one, the internal one. The moment Ben stopped lying to himself. The moment he looked in the mirror and said with no excuses, "I did this." And that sentence, as painful as it was, became the first brick in rebuilding. Because pain only turns into power when you're willing to feel it. And for the first time, Ben was ready. He had no money, no clients, no reputation left in the market. But he had one thing he'd never had until then, awareness. And that's where everything begins. Ben didn't come back with a big idea. No investor showed up. No one discovered him. He just decided to start over. But this time, with one non-negotiable rule, he and the business would be two separate things. He opened a new EIN, set up a dedicated business account, defined a salary, a fixed owner's draw, and he swore he'd never cross that line again. The money was tight at first, but the peace unmatched. He knew exactly how much he could spend, how much he could reinvest, what belonged to the business and what belonged to him. And little by little, what once felt like a burden became freedom. He no longer had to solve everything in panic mode. Now there was a plan, forecasts, control, and with that came growth. Clients started coming back. His internal confidence showed through in how he served, how he spoke about the business, how clear his offers were. The business stopped being an emotional roller coaster and became a real operation. Ben started enjoying what he did again, not because of the money, but because now there was structure that allowed money to come in without causing destruction. And it was during that process that he realized it's not about never messing up. It's about not hiding your mistakes behind urgency. Entrepreneurship isn't just about courage. It's about knowing when to separate passion from management. Today, Ben still isn't a millionaire, but he's free. And freedom, as he learned the hardest way, can't be bought. It has to be built. Built when you understand that a strong company starts with a strong owner. And a strong owner is someone with discipline, clarity, and boundaries. Ben once had a business that looked big, and it collapsed. Now he has a small one that grows a little more each day. And the difference between the two has nothing to do with revenue. It's in the way he learned to respect himself. Because in the end, businesses don't collapse by accident. They just reveal the gaps their owners tried to ignore. But if you're willing to face those gaps head on, they can become the exact space where you build what you've always dreamed of. If you watch this far, maybe you saw parts of your own journey in Ben's story. Maybe you're still mixing your personal life with your business. Maybe you're at your limit and don't even realize it. But if there's one truth in this video, it's this. You still have time. This channel isn't just about business. It's about you. About how to build something strong on the outside by starting from within. Here, we don't romanticize chaos. We turn it into structure. So if this made sense to you, if it hit home, hurt a little, or woke something up inside you, hit that subscribe button now because this was just the beginning, and the next story could be yours.